मॉर्निंग मोदी जी, नमस्कार। मैं फिर आपके सामने उपस्थित हूँ अपने मन की बात लेकर। मोदी जी, बस एक बात का मलाल रहेगा, 135 करोड़ लोगों का ये देश, कितने सारे आईआईएम, कितने बड़े बड़े मैनेजमेंट गुरु, इतनी बड़ी रिसर्च एजेंसीज़, इतना बड़ा इंटेलिजेंस सिस्टम जो आपको ये सब कुछ बताता है कि बंगाल में क्या हो रहा है और क्या होने वाला है और आगे क्या क्या हो सकता है, और दीदी 2 मई को जीतेगी या हारेगी, ये भी आपको एडवांस में पता है। पर मोदी जी, आपको नहीं पता था कि कोरोना क्या करेगा। मोदी जी, आपको नहीं पता था कि कोरोना कैसे धीरे धीरे फैल रहा है। आपको नहीं पता था कि ये इतना विकराल रूप ले लेगा। मोदी जी, आपको नहीं पता था कि कोरोना से लड़ने के लिए ऑक्सीजन की व्यवस्था लगेगी। आपको नहीं पता था कि कोरोना से लड़ने के लिए सभी लोगों को वैक्सीन लगाने की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी। आपको बिल्कुल भी नहीं पता था कि रेमडेसिविर इंजेक्शंस की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी। आपको नहीं पता था कि हॉस्पिटल्स में बेड की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी। आपको नहीं पता था कि इतने सारे डॉक्टर्स की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी।
शिका, तो पता क्या है? जिस प्रकार से ये औरत बोल रही है, सच में कुछ नहीं पता। ऑक्सीजन चाहिए था, नहीं पता। ऑर्डर करना चाहिए था वैक्सीन किस प्रकार से इसके स्टेजिंग करनी थी, पता है? नहीं पता। तो क्या पता था? तो अगर कुछ पता ही नहीं है तो फिर ये जो हम देख रहे हैं, जो कल काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर के साथ मीटिंग हुई थी, ये काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स हैं कौन? ये तो नजर ही नहीं आते आजकल। पर उनको क्या कह रहे हैं मोदी जी? मस्ट फाइट टू कोविड, डिफीट कोविड क्राइसिस सेज पीएम। वो कैसे होगा आपको नहीं पता, हमको नहीं पता और इनको भी नहीं पता। ओके, फिर क्या कहते हैं? मोदी मीट्स हिज फुल काउंसिल ऑन वंस इन अ सेंचुरी क्राइसिस. The PM urged the ministers to stay in touch with people of their respective regions and address issues at the local level. None of this is happening, folks. None of this is happening because all his ministers are lightweight and absent in action. They are nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard. And when you say once in a century crisis, true it is. And a lot of it, folks, is man-made. And you can lay the blame on the foot of the leadership. Hey, help people in once in a century crisis. Whoa, says the PM, right? And then what does he say? He says we will fight it and everything is a fight, right? But this is a diabolical lie. At 9,000 a day, there is no oxygen deficit. Logistics of worry government to Supreme Court. Okay, now this has been recorded by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has not asked for proof. I just heard 8 people die because of 80 minutes of no supply of a hospital in Delhi, a big hospital like Batra. It's not just logistics, even oxygen is in short supply. And that's why I say this is a lie. If the Supreme Court had just looked to see the conversation between Jay Shankar and Bilkin, it's all about oxygen and supply of oxygen. So if oxygen is not in short supply, why would this be the topic of discussion with Jay Shankar? Why would Saudi Arabia be supplying oxygen? Why would Thailand be supplying cryogenic containers? There is a mess, folks, right? Like I said, shortage of everything, like the lady says. ये भी नहीं है, वो भी नहीं है, पर सबसे बड़ी जो दुविधा है जो आने वाली है वो ये है. Docs are down, hospital face staff shortage. This is the biggest worry in the coming days, folks. The biggest worry. But guys don't care, right? If the bosses have had the election, then what the hell did it happen to us? Spike no bar. Gurugram to see 300 weddings in 15 days. It would be better if people understand that this is not the right time for celebration. I would say shut them up and get them in, because you should be listening to what Fauci says. Dr. Anthony Fauci on India's COVID crisis. Shut down the country for a few weeks. Hang in there, take care of each other. We'll get to a normal. What does he say? Set up crisis groups to plug gaps in emergency supplies, mobilize military to build hospitals, rush Indian virus samples to US, UK, seal vaccine contracts with as many companies as you can, says COVID most trusted global voice and inclusive. Now this is what we should be doing, and I can see they've already jumped on one of them, that is mobilize the military, folks. When nothing else you can do, mobilize the military. Okay, we've got to get other countries to help because India has been very generous, and Fauci says that, right? So the Maitri outreach of India did leave a huge impact, right? Well, like I said, sorry for this, TV journalist Rohit Sardana dies of COVID. Now let's talk about, this is oxygen shortage, right? Lies to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court heard it. And Supreme Court has to protect its reputation. Let's look at it this way, right? India's reputation is what the Supreme Court has to protect, and that means individual liberty, human rights, and the Constitution. It's not the Supreme Court's job to protect the reputation of this government and essentially the one person I'm talking about. It is not their job to protect their reputation. If it does that, it will be tattering India's reputation globally, if anything at all. I mean, this is what Jaishankar should be focusing on, right? And Soli was a champion of free speech and wore many hats. So Soli was apparently a huge fighter during the independence. During the emergency. I wonder where lawyers like him are now. I can't see any. Everybody seems to be except for a few, of course, right? He says, a remarkable life in law, tireless champion of civil liberties, press, freedom, and humanity. May his soul rest in peace. We need more people like him today to defend our rights and our lives, because this government ain't doing a good job of it, right? And while the Supreme Court finally holds its head up, don't book people for seeking help on social media. Supreme Court to cops. Clampdown will be treated as contempt. Well, what's he say? Ramp up. Don't clamp down on complaints. Supreme Court, Delhi High Court. State has failed to protect most basic fundamental right, the right to life. Damn right it has. He says, we'll treat action over social media, please, as contempt and about time. But what it needs to be good, and I'm really glad to hear this, and this is what the law that needs to be put to rest, which is being misused by this, overly being misused by this government. Not that it's not being misused by the other governments in the past, but this is being misused absolutely to the extreme by this government. Supreme Court seeks government reply on plea against sedition. The Supreme Court on Friday agreed to examine the constitutional validity of the penal law on sedition, which according to a plea in the top court is often used to stifle dissent and valid criticism against government's functionaries. Folks, this was a law from the Raj days. Even the United Kingdom, if you realize, has junked it. Then let's see vaccines. Uncertainty of over vaccine as all 18 to 44 become eligible. Big changes say we are ready. Why can't all get free COVID jabs under national schemes? Supreme Court to center. 3 private hospital chains say will open jabs up today, others still not sure. Okay, government in talks with vaccine companies to ramp up supplies, and the peach, folks. Government explores possibility of producing Covaxin abroad. Now here's the thing. We should have done our math in August. We know how many vaccines we need. So now, even at this point, the government needs to tell us how many vaccines are available, because as far as I know, the 100 million vaccines per month, as far as Serum is concerned, is going to only be up that capacity in July, and Covaxin 700 million per annum capacity is only going to be ready by the end of the year. So the government needs to come out in the open and tell us how many vaccine, what is the quantum of vaccine available, and it should not be lying to us. And that's why it's exploring possibilities of manufacturing overseas. What a shame, folks. This is the important part. Remember to nail the government on answering this question. How many, and the Supreme Court should also do it. How many, what is in stock, and what are the production capacities of the different manufacturing houses? The other thing is this crazy data. We are fudging data. Now it says making testing data available 400 scientists to PM, making epidemiological data accessible scientists to PM, testing hit by import curbs on equipment reagents. So this is the point, folks. When you look at deaths, right, the number is 4 lakhs, is a lot. But let me tell you this is because it's also being underreported, because all the deaths that are happening at home but are COVID are not being recorded as COVID deaths, only those in hospital. So you can almost sense an underreporting of 5 times if you look at the pictures and the funerals and all that's happening. And the case of active infection, there again, that again is based on directly driven by number of tests. So till you tell us how many tests you do, you really don't know. And here again, there seems to be possibility of underreporting of infections by at least 5 to 6 times. But this is a peach, right, folks? And this is what I'll read out to you, which is important. No time for Ram Bharose, says Omkar Goswami. While our health Ministry has acknowledged the existence of B1617. It has dubbed it as a variant of interest, but not one of concern, as in being more lethal, virulent, or infectious. Are these the government's famous last words? Like the Prime Minister's claiming in 2021 that India had successfully controlled COVID-19? What does the prevalence of this B1617 strain mean for us in India? It means two very important things: genome sequencing from samples of infected people and a nationwide vaccination. After some activity during our first wave, genome sequencing was put on back burner. Here is data called out of Global Initiative on Sharing Avian Influenza website and reported by the Washington Post on April 29. Iceland sequenced blood samples of almost 79% of reported COVID-19. Britain sequenced 8.7%. The United States sequenced, let's say, the US sequenced 30,000, which is comprising 1% of the reported cases. India is a gross outlier. As on date, it has sequenced 10,626 samples. That is 0.57%. Without sequencing the genome, you are up the creek without a paddle. They need specialized plastic containers and reagents. Unfortunately, in May 2020, to promote Make in India, the Finance Ministry stopped them from importing goods worth less than 200 crores. Several reagents and plastics are imported and have no Indian substitute. By September 2020, sequencing came to a halt and labs ran out of reagents. Finally, then remember the Finance Minister, what is this here? Genomic Consortium, a group of 10 labs at GUI itself put together to ramp up the sequencing. As of asked for extra 100 crores to buy additional equipment. They have not yet arrived. Remember the finance minister saying that there will be no dearth of money to fight this epidemic. Well, there is. Labs don't get an extra 100 crore for all the hoopla of earmarking 35,000 crores of vaccinations. Neither have enough orders been placed nor funds been given to the manufacturer to expand the capacity, folks. And that is what's the reality. Okay, we are getting shut out of the world, right? US to restrict travel from India from May 4th. Navy joins IAF in effort to get O2 containers. Just remember, I am just worried about, I hope all our armed forces have been vaccinated. Remember the incident on the carrier groups in the US where all of them had to be quarantined. And look at, we are getting knocked out, right? Australia may make it a crime for citizens to return from India, folks. We are getting locked out seriously from the rest of the world. And this is just not good. And whatever happens when you get in trouble, call the forces out. Forces get emergency financial powers. And let's see what's happening in UP. Defer counting or we will boycott polls duty. This is a teacher saying that. 60,000 teachers to skip counting of votes in UP polls. They're good for them because why? 700 teachers on UP poll duty, like I reported yesterday, lost lives to COVID teachers' body. And there is trouble brewing for the BJP in UP. BJP MLAs, MPs upset with own government's claims. It says people were crying for oxygen and I could not help them. And that is true. And look at what our good old Ravi Rahul Shiv Shankar has to write. Tomorrow we'll see winning contestants no doubt celebrate mutely won hopes, but what is there to celebrate? And he's saying that on television, he's a circus. He's the biggest clown of them all. And I can guarantee you, he'll be out there again tomorrow, come what may. But when what it says is what the ballot says and doesn't. The election results from 4 states and Puducherry must not obscure the growing gap between electoral power and democratic accountability, and please should let it not divert attention from this greatest tragedy unfolding in India, which this government has no control. A quick one on the shortage of vaccines. As you may have noted and guessed, while all states and all government organizations, states from all over, Delhi, Maharashtra, Gujarat, everybody is saying that they can't start this 18 to 44 vaccine by May 1st. However, guess who can? The hospitals, the private hospitals. Now, I have nothing against these hospitals giving the shots, but what it really means is discrimination, right? It's immoral. It's absolutely diabolical, because what it means is that Serum Institute is selling in preference to these hospitals because it's getting a higher price. And then this is the other thing we have to worry about. Maharashtra cops to probe how BJP MP procured remdesivir. These MPs are going crazy, folks. Jai Hind, Sat Sri Akal, and Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.